an effort to curb the number of violent crimes occurring in one Northwest Indiana community, local safety officials are boosting the number of police officers on their force. More than a dozen new officers are working to make Gary streets safer after this week. On Wednesday, Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson swore in 15 new officers and 6 reserve officers at Gary City Hall, bringing the force up to a total of 225 safety officials. The event comes a little more than a month after the mayor announced a comprehensive crime-fighting plan, which included the appointment of new Police Chief Larry McKinley. McKinley spoke to the officers after administering the oath.
There will be a lot that I will expect of you. There will be a lot that will be expected of you of the citizens. There will be challenges, and to move forward with those challenges, to stay grounded in faith and prayer in your families and with your community.
The recruits will attend the police academy in November and will be assigned to their posts upon completion. One Maryville officer received his final radio dispatch Monday at a funeral that drew more than 1,000 mourners. Sarah Hulse shows how community members memorialized the fallen officer.
Last week, Officer Nicholas Schultz of the Maryville Police Department became the second Northwest Indiana policeman killed in the line of duty in the past 2 months. On Monday, his fellow officers, family, and friends paid their respects to a young man who many say paid the ultimate sacrifice.
On the night of Friday, September 5th, Maryville police responded to a call of an unwanted party inside a condominium in the 8200 block of Lincoln Circle. Officers entered the unit and were almost immediately met with gunfire. 24-year-old Officer Nicholas "Nick" Schultz, who had been with the department 13 months, was struck in the head. The suspect then turned the gun on himself, taking his own life. Schultz was rushed to Christ Advocate Medical Center in Oak Lawn, where he later died.
Young officer, he's from my hometown where I'm living, and he's just a good athlete, and just life cut short too soon.
Memorial services were held at the Star Plaza Theater in Maryville in order to accommodate the hundreds of officers who turned out to support one of their own.
Law enforcement coming together. As you can see, over 1,000 officers here from all over the state of Indiana, Illinois, and it's just laying a hero to rest today.
But while the day was about honoring the sacrifice that Schultz made to protect the community, it was also about remembering a life that ended too soon.
It's a brotherhood. That's exactly what it is, law enforcement. And we came together, the community has come together to show their support for the family, and it's just, it's a sad day for law enforcement.
After graduating from Lowell High School in 2009, Schultz attended Franklin College in central Indiana. College President Jay Mosley said in a statement that Schultz was and continues to be highly respected for his caring nature and unwavering leadership. Schultz's college football teammates wore their Grizzlies jerseys to the service in support of their former captain.
Showing the camaraderie here, the support for each other, and coming together, that's what it's all about. The realization of how dangerous our profession actually is. Fortunately, that this wasn't the first, and of course it won't be the last.
Following the ceremony, Schultz's casket was escorted by hundreds of police vehicles past the Maryville Police Department and through Lowell, where dozens of residents lined the streets, waiting in the rain for hours to honor their hometown hero.
Because God has chosen to call Nick from this life to himself, we commit his body to the earth. For we are dust, and unto dust we shall return. So let us commend Nick to the Lord, that the Lord may embrace his soul in peace.
In honor of Officer Schultz, donations are being accepted by the Lowell High School Athletic Department in care of the Live, Love, Give Scholarship. The criminal case against a man accused of killing a Gary officer earlier this summer moved forward this week. For more on that, we take you back to Kristen.
Lake County prosecutors intend to pursue the death penalty against the man charged with the murder of Gary police officer Jeffrey Westerfield. 26-year-old Carl Blount was in a Crown Point courtroom this week as Judge Samuel Kappas read the motion from prosecutors requesting the death penalty. Blount was reportedly fleeing from the scene of a domestic dispute on the morning of July 6th when he shot and killed Officer Westerfield, a 19-year veteran of the Gary Police Department. In the state of Indiana, 97 death sentences have been handed down since 1977, the year Indiana's current death penalty sentencing statute took effect. A status hearing on the Westerfield murder case is scheduled for October 1st. In state news, Indiana's Bureau of Motor Vehicles has announced for the second time this year that Hoosiers will receive millions of dollars in refunds from the agency. BMV Commissioner Don Snemis released a statement explaining that the department's computer system has been incorrectly calculating some vehicle excise taxes since 2004. The error affects an estimated 180,000 customers and about $29 million in overcharges. Customers who overpaid will receive a claim form by mail in order to request a refund check. In January, the BMV received over 300,000 requests for refunds after settling a lawsuit related to fees dating back to 2007. Governor Mike Pence has authorized the BMV to hire an outside firm to audit their procedures. A federal grant has enabled the city of Gary to authorize the removal of some abandoned property. This week, Lakeshore Steve Walsh talked to city and state officials about their use of the Hardest Hit Fund.
The city is set to make a dent in the estimated 10,000 homes which lie abandoned in the city of Gary. The city has received $6.5 million from the $75 million the state received from the Hardest Hit Fund. First homes came down this week. To talk about it, we have Joe Van Dyke, who is Director of Redevelopment, and Brenda Scott Henry, who is Director of Green Urbanism and Environmental Affairs for the City of Gary. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have enough tools to handle? I mean, you've got money here to tear down some of these homes, but do you have enough tools to really solve the problem of blight in the city of Gary?
Well, I mean, that's a really large question, right? I don't think you could ever have enough tools to completely solve it, but you certainly go in the right direction. You sort of change the economics of the city, and you try to provide as many opportunities.
Let me drill down a little bit. I mean,
Sure.
Specifically with the tax sale. Other states have gotten rid of tax sales. They've gone to a system of land banks. I've gone out and talked to people in some of these neighborhoods, and they remember a time when neighbors tried to sell their homes, and they couldn't get any money for them whatsoever. Those homes now sit vacant, or they've just maybe given it to a relative to move into it. But the homes really almost have no value in and of themselves.
Sure.
And a lot of those homes at one point have gone through our tax sale in Indiana. Is that something that really needs to change more dramatically than it has?
I think you need to give a real hard look at vacancy and wide-scale abandonment and the issues you just mentioned. I don't think the tax sale process is probably the most efficient, best way to do it. Especially because of the speculative nature that a lot of people have when they purchase large-scale tax liens and try to get some sort of reclamation value, if indeed those are redeemed. There are a lot of methods being used. I know the county's looking at land banks as a potential source.
Kind of on a small scale. They really don't have the laws here that you have in some other state. You look at places like Detroit, where that's really how they get rid of these blighted homes. They package them together, and then they try to sell them to developers.
Sure, and we've spoken with people in Detroit. Cuyahoga County in Cleveland is sort of like the godfather of land banks. Genesee County, Flint, Michigan. We know a lot of folks at those places who have been working in the state legislature. Jim Merritt down in Indianapolis, who we've had on your radio program, is sort of championing that cause. So I think, the jury's still out on what's the best method to do it, but we are looking into it, and I think that a lot of communities in Indiana, particularly those hit with wide-scale abandonment, Muncie, South Bend, Fort Wayne, Gary, Hammond, are sort of looking at creative solutions.
It may work in different parts of the tax sale, that auctioning off of property may work in different parts of the state, but when you get into places like Gary, or parts of Indianapolis, it's not as efficient. It does.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's sort of an atypical real estate market, like you just mentioned. Some people can't sell their homes even if they're in perfect condition, right? Just because there's no market demand. So you sort of have to navigate that, and it's frankly a pretty new problem that we're sort of trying to solve wide scale. I mean, the jury's still out on a lot of methods that are being used. It's more efficient to do it, as they do in Detroit or Cleveland or Flint, but the jury's still out as far as how that stems the tide of abandonment.
And that's why the demolition is very strategic. It's focused on areas where we are putting other resources in for redevelopment. So you stabilize those areas where you have anchors, like your universities or the Methodist Hospital, or you have the baseball stadium. And so you have, in the Miller area, you have the lakefront. So you stabilize that neighborhood as best you can so that those residents that you have there don't leave.
All right, Jo Van Dyke, Director of Redevelopment, and Brenda Scott Henry, she's the Director of Green Urbanism and Environmental Affairs for the City of Gary. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.
As part of the Hardest Hit Fund efforts, Lieutenant Governor Sue Ellspermann was in Gary this week to witness the demolition of 2 tattered properties. The change is not just helping to beautify the block, it's set to have a growing effect from the ground up. See how clearing abandoned clutter around the city is affecting one family.
We can do that through the whole block. Eventually, it'll be a nice, clean thing here.
Next to their flower-filled, manicured lawn, 82-year-old Colby Howard and his wife, Catherine, have had a crumbling home as their only neighbor since the 1970s.
If I had all them buildings torn down, I'd be all right.
A new program in Gary meant to destroy dilapidated properties might have more lawns looking as good as their own.
We're going to try to clean up as much as we can, and we're going to try to stretch those dollars.
On this day, they were witness to a beginning to the end of blight on their block.
I'm glad they're doing what they're doing. Tearing it down.
2 abandoned buildings at 832 and 836 Virginia Street came down next door to the Howard's home. The second and third structures in the state leveled because of the Indiana Hardest Hit program.
Well, I can see all the way back to the 8th Avenue now. Real nice. Well, you can't see nowhere. That's make it look bad.
Steps from the Howard's home, Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson said the $6.6 million federally funded project is overdue.
My focus is on homes like these, where people have remained in the city, have persevered, have maintained their property, have trimmed their hedges, have done everything. And I believe that we owe neighbors like this all over the city a debt of gratitude.
And the buildings coming down mean property values are set to go up because housing experts say abandonment opens the door to blight.
We know that these properties depress home values right here. They really discourage others from making investments in their home, and sometimes they can harbor some criminal activities.
Program officials say blight is contagious, but so are the effects of reducing it. Money from the Hardest Hit Fund will go to the destruction of more than 400 vacant properties in Gary, and city officials say that means neighbors will see fewer broken windows and more space for, well, nothing.
Ending the eyesores is a visible benefit, but city officials say the resulting green fields will remain empty to create more green spaces around the community. Officials from the city's Department of Green Urbanism say, although they appear empty, the land fills a vital purpose. Greenfields can help the city fulfill its EPA mandate to keep city waterways clean.
When we say green infrastructure, we're talking about ways in which we can manage stormwater. In essence, it's telling us to make sure that we reduce pollution of stormwater. When we install these green infrastructure, it serves as a filter. So it allows the water to clean itself before it enters into our waterway.
It's a little known benefit that can also boost property values over time. The Hardest Hit program will also include green initiatives to recycle bricks and wood from demolition sites and create walkable spaces on some Steel City streets. Scott Henry says a series of community engagement meetings in the future will make sure residents have a say in building up beauty from the torn down structures.
It's always exciting to see some improvement in the neighborhoods. You know, they like to keep their property looking nice, and it's nice to look past your hedges and then you see some more nice, even if it's just a clean field.
It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Demolition efforts from the hardest hit funds are expected to last 18 months. For more information on Indiana's hardest hit fund, residents can visit www.877gethope.org. And though local temperatures have been cool, some tropical scenery is blooming at an upcoming gallery exhibition in Valparaiso. That's in this week's Eye on the Arts.
Hi, joining me for this edition of Eye on the Arts is Joanne Markowitz, who is an artist and in particular, a hospice of the Calumet area artisan.
Yes, Friends of Hospice Artisan.
Friends of Hospice Artisan, yes. Got it. Okay, so I keep saying got it as if I got it, but I don't got it is the problem. Anyway, Joanne, I know you as a wonderful photographer. You had a show at the Center for Visual and Performing Arts in Munster where I work all summer long with Pete Doherty.
Yes.
That was a terrific show called Dunes and Blooms.
Yes, that's correct.
And you're going to be repeating that show now at Valparaiso University.
Yes, it is currently at Valparaiso in the Christ College Commons building.
Okay.
And we're going to be having an artist reception on October the 11th from 5:30 to 7:30. And everyone is welcome to come.
And meet you. And Pete.
Absolutely, we will definitely be there.
Both charming people.
Oh, well, thank you.
And very talented. How did you two get together, by the way?
Through the photography. Pete is quite well known in the area, and I've admired his dunes landscaping, so started talking photography with him, and I started getting back into taking pictures myself, which I've been doing for quite a few years, but more seriously in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and you did a lot of the work that's in the show is from Hawaii, isn't it?
Yes, predominantly the flowers are from Hawaii. I do have one that's from Tall Tree Arboretum in Valparaiso.
Local.
Yes, local, absolutely.
Now you're wearing this beautiful necklace, and you tell me that that's made of polymer clay.
Yes.
And that's a whole other medium that you work in.
Yes, I also do polymer clay jewelry and accessories like pens and letter openers and desk-size magnifying glasses. And this is all sold at charity events with the Friends of Hospice, where the money then goes to help support hospice of the Calumet area.
Well, what inspired you to become an artist and start making all of this work?
Well, I've had the ability to travel to many different countries. And just seeing the beauty in our world just inspired me to do something with colors and patterns and that. So I found this polymer clay creation through a friend of mine and developed it, and I just enjoy it very much, bringing intricate patterns and different colors and making pieces for people to enjoy and wear.
Well, thank you for sharing it with us and for sharing it with hospice too. That's great. And thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with another edition of Eye on the Arts.
Eye on the Arts is made possible in part by South Shore Arts, the Indiana Arts Commission, and the National Endowment for the Arts, a federal agency.
Every month, we're fortunate to be able to introduce you to individuals making a big difference right here in Northwest Indiana. These Innovators of the Month are selected through the Gerald I. Lampkin Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center of Ivy Tech Community College Northwest. One of this month's innovators helped a Michigan City school reduce its environmental impact with a little lunchroom magic. As the Michigan City Area Schools Food Services Director, Kathy Kane had a tough choice to make when Lake Hills Elementary opened a few years ago. With no room for a dishwashing system, the school was forced to serve meals on styrofoam trays. But in the spirit of innovation, Kane turned a problem into an opportunity. Now the Styro Genie machine is helping to reduce waste and beautify the school grounds.
This is a new school, relatively new school, and when it was built, the kitchen area had a smaller footprint, and I had to make a decision with either a dish machine or walk-in coolers and freezers. And I wanted this school to be able to prepare fresh food, which means accepting a delivery. So I went in with the walk-ins, which left no space for a dish machine, kind of leaving it, I guess, mandatory that we use styrofoam trays. And that always bothered me a little bit until I discovered this technology, which was just the answer to my conscience.
The machine works by the usage of the styrofoam trays. We load it up from the bottom. We wait until it gets full. We turn the machine on. I come in the morning and we unload it. We got the machine last year in April, and by the time school ended, we was at almost 100 pavers.
Since the inception, we could pave a trail 22 miles long of foam trays end to end, each being about a foot. So if you can visualize that, you can imagine just how much we've saved out of the landfill. Even though the edges are jagged, imagine them buried in the ground, and then it's a good paver. But these things will not decompose. I'm told that they will still be here 500 years from now. So it's a very durable product, or byproduct, I should say, of school lunch.
It just started out as melting trays, and now it's became a whole recycling program.
This is a STEM school, a science, technology, engineering, and math magnet school. And the kids, I mean, there's no end to their ideas.
Well, we've developed a whole program, a recycling program. It just started with just tapping the trays, the food off the trays, and then putting them in the machine. But we've gone bigger and beyond that. We now recycle the milk cartons. So we're keeping all of the trays out of the landfill, the food out of the landfill. We are attempting to recycle the plastic cups that we use for the fruits. We are attempting to recycle that as well. So all of this stuff out of the landfill.
It's been great for the environment. It's been great financially. It's been great as an academic topic. It's wonderful.
For more information, visit the Society of Innovators website at www.nwisoi.org.
And of course, for more information on any of our stories, you can always visit our website, lakeshorepublicmedia.org. We love hearing from people there, and of course, lots of other ways as well.
That's right. You can always reach us at tvfeedback@lakeshorepublicmedia.org with your thoughts, concerns, or questions. You can also connect with us on Twitter at Lakeshore Report. And of course, we always like connecting in person, which we got to do this week at the Lakeshore Professional Women's Conference.
It's always nice to be able to talk to the public face to face.
Yeah, this was our 3rd annual conference. It was a great success, in my opinion anyway. I know I learned some great tips and advice from the women that were there, so had a very nice time.
We were fortunate to meet a lot of very inspiring women. We want to thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you next week on Lakeshore Report. And as we leave you now, we're going to leave you with some images from the Lakeshore Professional Women's Conference. Have a good day.